Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. We're going to have a Zerg versus Protoss here today. Queen in the top right. Feel like we haven't seen him in a little bit. In the bottom left, we have Tyson. I think in last ASL season, both these guys were a bit underrated. I mentioned early in the season, I felt like Queen was probably the third best player in the world going into the season. And I think he actually did have a good season overall. Ended up round of 8 losing, if I'm remembering correctly, like 2-3, something like that, or 3-4. Was it against Best, that insane series? Am I remembering this right? Anyways, I think I wasn't really wrong. I think he was in really good shape going into that season and had some potential, maybe with a different type of path. But also Tyson. Tyson absolutely should have eliminated Light in ASL. He was at like a 98% position of winning against Light on that Eclipse game, and literally found the only possible way to lose, which was kind of insane. So, you know, these guys, I think they've been in very good shape recently, so hopefully we'll have a good game here on Polestar. It looks like we're going to have a gateway expansion here from Tyson as he sends his probe out to check if an Overlord is coming in this direction. As you can see, if it was, that's about the timing when you're going to see it there, so kind of nice. He's going to say, okay, it's not here. Let's go up to top left. And yeah, in the meantime, it is looks like an overpool here from Queen. So just pretty standard, normal stuff. And we'll have to wait for those Zealots to come out before the game really gets going. So I want to take a moment and again, thank you for watching ArtosisCasts. It really is appreciated. I'm so glad so many people are liking StarCraft 1, and, well, of course, if you like StarCraft 2 as well, definitely check that out. But, you know, again, I think it's in a great spot. We have really interesting meta rotations coming on, a lot of top-end players playing, and it's not a terrible time to start yourself, you know? I've had more and more people come in and be like, yeah, I've actually started playing now, and you know, it takes some work to be able to really get on the ladder and have good games, and you're going to run into Smurfs sometimes and stuff like that. But, you know, nothing feels better than playing a good game of StarCraft. Like, honestly, some of my happiest games I've actually lost from, like, I actually played that really well, you know? Like, it's like the being proud of yourself for doing something hard well, you know? You don't have to win games as long as you're going up to your own expectations. That's it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. So yeah, you might want to give it a try. The game is ridiculous and fun, and also infuriating and terrible. All right, so we have Queen just kind of going across with a couple lings. The first Zealot is coming up from Tyson, going into the natural area here. He's going to force a few more lings and probably just have to go by a mineral line, unless he's trying to dive on drones. Sometimes you do that. Especially with the probe. If the probe gets 2 hits, then the Zealot 2 hits the drone. So a lot of times what you'll see is the targeting, trying to have the probe weaken up a drone and then go after it. But the probe gets picked off pretty quickly there. In the meantime, of course, we do have 3 lings in the main base over on this other side. And try to keep track of if anyone gets any damage. I don't imagine Tyson will. It's a little bit easier for Zerg to get a probe kill than for Protoss to get a drone kill. Oh! Almost. And those ones are just taking a little bit of damage. No kills as of yet. Second Zealot coming up, so actually that's going to help a fair amount. Oh! Taking that extra damage is painful. Okay, so I actually didn't recognize if he got a kill. It looks to me like he did, because I don't see a damaged probe in there. If we saw a probe with some shields missing, that would make me think they did not get a kill, but since 2 of them died right here, I mean, maybe he tracked through and it was just a good probe surround or something, but I think he probably killed a probe. Now, Tyson back in a very defensive stance here. This is a really excellent position, because lings that attack this guy can also attack. You can see he kind of turns around, and yeah, he's taking as good an engagement as you're ever really going to get here. Nice control from Queen, pulling back the Hurtling. He does have his 3rd hatch up now as well. Layer on the way. Down on Tyson's side of the map, we have that Stargate. We'll see if he gets Citadel quickly here also. Generally, that is going to be the case. Although we have seen a little bit of a reemergence of, you know, Corsair Reaver, although it's been almost only on Metropolis, which is kind of interesting in and of itself. There's like a lot of dead airspace and a lot of interesting ways into bases on that map, so it kind of makes sense. For this map, Polestar, it doesn't really make so much sense. There's not like a lot of areas you're going to be able to fly over where you can abuse ground units heavily. So I would imagine we'll see a Citadel coming up pretty quickly here. No +1 air attack, just making a couple Corsairs. We'll see if he starts at +1 air. +1 ground on the way, of course. Spire coming up for Queen. You know, if you're not starting +1 air and Queen decides to go +1 carapace, that could bode very well for him. But some players, and here's actually, here, let me talk about it in funny terms, okay? There's like, different types of players are good at different types of matchups. Tyson is specifically really, really, really good at Protoss versus Terran. And a Protoss versus Terran expert that plays PvZ is more likely to skip heavy Corsair and try to go for a heavier ground army, because that's kind of what the skill set is, you know? It makes sense. It makes sense. And this can be pointed out in any matchup, but I've definitely noticed with Protoss players that, and see, he starts it now, and it's like, okay, maybe he'll get another Corsair. But, like, if you're not that type of player, if you're a type of player that's just good at moving around kind of like big armies and taking battles with big armies, you kind of optimize towards that. And that's kind of the way that he was going. But I think from the scouting he's doing, he's looking at this and saying, oh, there's a fair chance this is actually Mutalisk, so maybe we should get that +1 air attack. Because you definitely don't want to play it, like, you can't just rush to Dark Archon here. That's not really how that works. Dark Archon, for those of you wondering, that's more like what you do after 3-hatch Hydra to counter Muta, rather than a regular layer rush game, because it's just going to be too slow in a game like this. So we'll see if any are actually made. He is getting Hydralis upgrades as well as Flyer Carapace, so it's very hard to tell what Queen's actual plan is here. A couple Scourge flying in. It's going to see the rotating Cybernetics core. It's going to see a cannon coming in, more Corsairs being made. So, and he actually does make the 5 mutas despite seeing all that. So I was going to say, that's like, that's where you might see him make a different choice and say, oh, you know what, he's upgrading that, and, you know, he's still making Corsairs, the Stargate's still blinking, so maybe I want to skip out. Tyson right now just trying desperately to outmaneuver these Scourge. He's actually doing an okay job so far. He has taken 1 hit, but if he gets it home, he'll be happy. The Zealots going across the map, as they do have +1 attack as well as Zealot legs. Very good SimCity as far as the Sunken. And yeah, the Muta's coming down. He shows the 5 Mutas, kind of the standard amount that you're going to see. We'll keep an eye on whether or not he's going to make any more than that. A lot of Scourge coming down as well. He's trying to get this Corsair away still. I don't know if he's going to save that. I feel like his multitasking on it isn't perfect. Yeah. See that? He's busy doing some other things like running from mutas, producing, adding gateways, and ends up losing that Corsair there. So +1 armor on the way. Looking at the game, I like Queen's position a little bit more here, but Tyson's game plan hasn't fully developed yet. Oh, he loses another. I think he had a bad rally there. I think that's what that was. But you can see that he is kind of missing some of this finesse that the really strong PvZ players have. Players like Bisu or Mini, where you look at them and be like, yeah, that's a great match for Queen, right? Like, they're going to keep those Corsairs alive and things like that. So a little bit sloppy, but, you know, it's not the end of the world, and it's not a huge slam on Tyson or anything, even though he's a bad manner guy that is mean to me every time I play him. No slam to him. He is a good player. Now, the Muta's coming over. Yeah, look at that. Just snipes the probe. Queen's actually looking really good this game. Like, all of his movement has been very, very smooth. He's, like, doing what... Like, just delaying the third a little bit. It's huge. It's huge. Like, I think this is something that is not talked about anywhere near enough. Like, we talk a lot about, oh, yeah, kill the third, or, you know, do this, do that. You know... Put pressure on so they maybe take it slower. Okay, that's getting more interesting to me. And just delaying the third base. Things like sniping the probe. the amount of a difference that makes. If you actually sit down and calculate, like, oh, okay, so the probe was coming to start the Nexus, and the next one comes 45 seconds later. So that's 45 seconds of mining time that is now going to be missing, right? And it's like, oh, this is actually a gigantic deal. A gigantic deal. And, like, something that I think needs to be really heavily explored. Like, just delaying things slightly so that everything gets ratcheted back as far as, like, macro goes. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe you can delay them more now and that type of thing. All right, a lot of Scourge coming after the corsairs. He chooses a location to stand. Ouch. Ouch. Loses quite a few, and those are all damaged. So there's definitely some snipe possibilities if you can get rid of some of those. +2 armor on the way. That's generally like an anti-mutalisk upgrade. I've seen some people going back to +2 attack, but +2 armor is still very popular. I've really enjoyed +1 attack into +2 armor into plasma shield upgrades. Like, I really like that type of play that we've seen some lately as well. Okay, big cloud of Hydras coming over. His cannons are going to warp in just in time. Very Zealot heavy right now, which is going to be normal since there were mutas flying around. Brings a High Templar up here, looking for a good storm. The muta's running, though. You don't want to storm while they're running because they're going to barely take damage. You're going to wait till this type of moment. Right in the center there. That was good, but a good dodge as well by Queen. Trying to snipe that. Ooh, he does snipe that High Templar. Not a lot at the front. This is actually really scary. Okay, good storm. Good storm does force him back. He has 1 Templar here with 1 storm. No storms. Yeah, that's the only High Templar he has there. His High Templar count is incredibly low, actually. Like, part of that was making this Archon, but yeah, I guess maybe he could have skipped the Archon, but I think he just utilized it to make sure he could take this base. Oh, there is one more up there. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But still going to be a little bit before he's ready for this. Observers are coming out for lurkers that don't yet exist. Okay, good storm there on those Hydras, and he will knock those out pretty quickly. So third base is pretty safe. Losing this +2 armor would be very painful, and in fact, Queen's just going to sacrifice for it. It's going to say, screw it. You know, 4 or 5 Hydras are worth stopping +2 armor. Probably right about that. In the meantime, Queen has set up his 4th base, still transferring a few drones over. Hasn't rebuilt his mutas, but just letting these sit back and heal up a little bit. We see Kadarian Amulet. We see the Forge being remade. I actually think he should go double Forge because he's getting actually really far behind on upgrades because of losing +2 armor halfway through. That's like not a very common occurrence. Losing your first upgrade is pretty common. Losing your third is really not. So that actually I think hits kind of hard there. Restarts that upgrade. Lots of Dragoons in the way. The one thing we can definitely say that's good here for Tyson, this is a well-timed third. He's got a pretty darn good probe count. Like 57. I mean, it's not 66, but it's, you know, it's 57. It's pretty good. 57, that's almost 60. 60, that's almost 64. 64, that's basically 66. You know, like, it's a good economy. He's added some gateways, so we're up to the 8 gates. That's what you want to see generally. And I think, actually, if he roams around well with this, he can probably take a 4th base. I don't think there's an attack available. I do not think so. Now, this position I don't like. I think he needs to do things like roaming here, maybe even up here, right? You got to look at the paths. Like, is this a good place? Is this a good place? You want to kind of zone armies out from attacking you. This is, well, he didn't leave any High Templars here, so, like, you got to leave something up here to watch for attacks there as well. But yeah, you don't want to sit in this area. This area is like basically worthless. I really feel like probably the proper roam is around here. This is my guess, is it's this general area because you can kind of hit over here more quickly. This is too tight. Like, you can stand an army there, I guess, and it's hard to attack in, but I feel like Zerg has a little bit more ability to outmaneuver. And it's really important to roam against Zerg and shave units off when you can. Always have the threat of those very strong Psy Storms and whatnot. Now, here comes this little group. You can see Queen moving groups over here. And this is what I'm afraid of, is he's going to be a little bit too far to the side, and this group's going to come in and snipe this Nexus. We'll see if that actually occurs. I'm sorry I'm so zoomed out this game, but this really is coming down to army movement right now. because they're both playing really well macro-wise. So a maxed out Queen right now, obviously that would be a little bit ahead. He doesn't have that Defiler tech yet. You know, his upgrades are not actually that magnificent. Really good Side Storms come down. There are a lot of High Templars in here. Pretty good army control in the center so far here. Does need to back up from this, though. Do not want any part of that Mass Lurker coming up and burrowing. All right, so I'm getting a little bit nervous here for Tyson. He has the 4 base. Look at the upgrades coming up. He's got 3 Evos going, which I love to see. Adrenal upgrades, and he does have the Defiler mount. So we're going to have, like, Defiler, Lurker, Ling for the most part, with just a few Hydras in there. Observer speed. Okay, there are 2 Forges for Tyson. He's actually taking good engages in the center overall. Like, this is good, right? Like, he's finding these little edges where it's like, you don't actually have that much army. He's picking off a lot of Lurkers with very little damage, very little losses to his army. Now, Queen does attack up this time, and he is going to have to pull back against this. I think he's got... Oh, no, he actually doesn't have a Storm left. Brings up another one. Yeah, still doesn't have a Storm. Oh, that's a little bit painful. So does lose some of that. Needs to continually reinforce here. And he's setting up a 5th. Okay. Okay. That's kind of cool. The 5th base is up for Queen, up at 12 o'clock. You can see his kind of zone defense looks pretty good. Mass rally here, right? These will all attack move to whichever location gets attacked. But then also a decent amount of units over the Lurkers, because you don't want the Lurkers to just be naked, because Protoss can run and kill them in like 2 seconds. So you have some units, and then the rest will come in as they need to. So it's a really, really strong defensive setup. Like, you don't actually see this that often. Normally what happens is it's more of like a quadrant like this, and then the Zerg takes another main. So they have like mass units here, maybe a Nidus here, and the units here. But this is very cool how he's like leaving these back so they can reinforce either area. Really very well done here from Queen. Tyson getting this base set up. He is getting shuttle speed, I can see. Plasma shields, ground weapons. So he's getting very good upgrades. They're not there yet. And he does have the tech required for Reavers, which is always something in a game like this that you're going to be looking towards. Defilers are on the way, and Dark Swarm is not going to be your friend if you don't have some Reavers on your bases. I'm just going to check around, see is he making robos. No robos at the expansions as of yet. I do like that type of play. It's too micro-intensive to make all the robos in your main and transport Reavers out as you need them. I think it's much better to just make those at your bases. Now, this is a ridiculous attack from Queen. Endless Lings coming up, and a flank of Lurkers. And even though they get stormed, doesn't matter. He just clears that. And now the supply differential is gigantic. Like, Queen was ahead before, but now he is massively, massively ahead. We're going to need really fantastic storms to bring Tyson back into this. By the way, Plague is coming up now, so that's going to make it a little bit harder as well. The Goons are not going to have nearly as much value as they had before. Between Plague and Dark Swarm. This base still okay, but as soon as the Dark Swarm goes down there, it's going to be very tough to hold. Couple more gates being warped in. All right, this is getting a little bit tricky right now. The Defiler's coming up. They actually don't have energy yet. They have to go up here and consume some Lings or something. So he's going to do that and get those Dark Swarms up. Going to throw one up here. All right, the Storm obviously going to be awesome. So he clears everything that came up there for a moment. Tyson is rebuilding his army supply. If he can get up to max, he might be able to take a really good engage. But here comes the Plague farming. The Plague farming late game is so painful because it's just endless. If Zerg has the APM to do it, it's just endless Plagues. And for Protoss, like, I mean, it is tough to deal with Plague as Terran, but for Protoss, man, like, you know, we could... Shields take full damage from everything, and their upgrades are more expensive. It's like, dude, these have, like, no health. They're just going to evaporate as soon as they're under attack. So this base going to be picked off. I think the writing has been on the wall for a little bit now. Since Tyson lost the army there, it's been pretty obvious that Queen is going to be able to take this. And, you know, I think as far as this matchup goes, there is definitely a difference. By the way, this lurker is technically under Dark Swarm. The bottom right corner extends to where, like, the actual thing. It's so funny, but this is a real thing. And you saw him attacking over and over. Archons miss. It is a ranged attack with splash damage. Splash damage won't hit the lurkers the way that this works. Like, fire bats can hit, but siege tanks and Archons can't. Basically, lurkers and fire bats, their entire attack, the entire animation that you see of the attack, the entire thing does damage. The entire thing is splash. So it's very different from Archon, which has an attack that has splash, rather than the entire attack is splash. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But Queen is just finishing him up now. Just endless attack moves should be incoming. GG is called. Very dominant performance, I would say, from Queen, but not a terrible game from Tyson. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. See you next time.